What's going on, guys? Dare here with Fantasy Football Advice, coming at you with another fantasy football video. Today, we have a fun one. We are talking about players with maximum upside. When targeting players, we always need to be taking into consideration their ceiling. If we want to win our leagues, we have to be able to beat the best teams, and we can't do that without capitalizing on players who have the most upside as possible. Each player we do have listed in this video, we are also fans of targeting them in your draft. So not only are these some upside plays for you to consider, keep an eye out for them because we do want to get these players on our teams. Before we do get into the video though, stat of the day. Yesterday's stat of the day was in the fantasy playoffs weeks 14 through 16, which defense scored the most fantasy points during that span? The correct answer was the Minnesota Vikings. Nalid 65, you got this one right. As for today's stat of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles had 234 targets that went to the tight end position in 2019. Looking back at all years since the year 2000, where would that number of targets to the tight end position rank? I'm looking for a specific ranking here, so was it 1st, 5th, 10th, 20th? Leave your answer in the comment section down below. We'll be happy to let you know who wins in tomorrow's video. Also, guys, our drafts are just weeks away. If you want to be as prepared as possible, consider signing up for our draft package. You'll have access to our tier-based rankings, player breakdowns on all draftable players, sleepers, targets, and busts, risk ratings, consistency charts, offensive line rankings, and more. If that's something that interests you or you want to find out more information, go to our website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. The link, as always, is in the description box below. With that stuff out of the way though, let's hop right into the video, and I'm going to start with the player on the thumbnail, Kareem Hunt of the Cleveland Browns. Kareem Hunt is one of the few running backs that you can actually get in the middle to later rounds that legitimately has a floor in fantasy football. While he isn't going to be the lead back in his offense as long as Nick Chubb is healthy, he's still going to play the role as the primary pass catching running back out of the backfield. Third down situations, clear passing situations, those are easily going to be given to Kareem Hunt. Right now, he is coming off the board as the running back 26 in ESPN drafts, which is a more than fair value for what you're going to get. That's basically where you can expect him to finish on a weekly basis, and that's not even factoring in that he is easily one of the best handcuffs in the entire league. Jumping back to what I said about where we can expect him to finish on a weekly basis, let's take a look at what he was able to do in 2019 while playing in this exact same role after serving his 8-game suspension the first time playing in this offense. His first game returning to action on the new team, he played Buffalo in week 10. While he was only suspended for 8 games, they did have a bye week in week 7. That wasn't credited towards his game suspended, so his first game back in action, he was immediately used with a high amount of volume. He saw 9 targets, posted double-digit fantasy points, and throughout the remainder of the season was posting very start-worthy numbers. Weeks 10 through 15, a 6-game sample, Kareem Hunt was able to average 12 fantasy points per game, compile 36 targets at the running back position, and boasted one of the best catch rates, coming in at 84%. Don't get it mistaken though, his catch rate was not the only positive stat he was able to produce last season. He already ranked 22nd in receptions at the position, despite playing in half the games as all the other running backs. He was also 26th in receiving yards, 25th in snap share. As an individual contributor though, that's where he really shined. Production premium, he ranked 4th. Fantasy points per opportunity, he even ranked 17th. So not only was he put in a good situation on a team that knew how to best utilize his skill set, he was also producing in every way imaginable. Heading into 2020, the team wants to expand on his receiving skill set. He's already been spending time in the wide receiver room, watching film. It's been noted that he will get opportunities to take snaps from the slot, which indicates both him and Nick Chubb can be on the field at the same exact time. And the new head coach, Kevin Stefanski, he proved while being the offensive coordinator for Minnesota to have a heavy reliance on the run game. Both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt can easily be startable fantasy assets, so despite Kareem Hunt being labeled as a backup running back, he's still somebody you can confidently start in your flex position each and every week. Now, I would not recommend this for standard scoring leagues since most of his production is going to come in the receiving game, but most of us out there, we play some sort of PPR, whether that be half PPR or full, but it is worth noting that his production would look vastly different in standard scoring leagues. Now, everything I've said leading up to this, that's making a case for his floor. This video, it's about his ceiling, so where does his ceiling come in? It would have to come on the back of a Nick Chubb injury. Kareem Hunt, quite possibly one of the best, if not the best handcuffs in the entire league, just based off of his sheer talent alone. And if Nick Chubb were to ever suffer an injury, Kareem Hunt will find himself as the lead back on on one of the league's best rushing offenses for the 2020 season. Even looking at both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in a vacuum, if both players were given the reins to lead this backfield without the other one vulturing touches from them, Kareem Hunt would still have more upside than Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt, he is a strong rusher. We've seen it throughout his career. I'd say 1-to-1, I'd still give the edge to Nick Chubb in the rushing game, but there's a big difference. Nick Chubb, he's not a strong receiver. Kareem Hunt, he's one of the best receiving backs in the entire league. I will take the knock in the run game from an efficiency standpoint and a potential ceiling standpoint when you factor in that Kareem Hunt has the potential to be one of the most versatile running backs in the league, being well above average in both rushing and receiving. If Kareem Hunt were the only running back in Cleveland, I would have him ranked in that first tier of running backs behind those top guys like Kamara, Saquon, McCaffrey, but still in a tier ahead of players like Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders, and Kenyon Drake. So that just shows you the type of upside we believe Kareem Hunt has this season if he ever was able to advance to the starting position, but until then you still have a high floor running back heavily involved in the receiving game, which makes him still one of the safest picks in the draft, especially where he's going. Let's move over to the first wide receiver on this list, and this is going to be a player who I believe is the most controversial, but I think after we can all agree on this one. It's Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears. If you take a look at what he was actually able to do with such poor quarterback play in 2019, his season was nothing short of incredible. Mitchell Trubisky, he ranked 21st in passing yardage, 29th in completion percentage, and only threw for 17 touchdowns. 17 passing touchdowns, that ranked 27th in the league. Matthew Stafford, who only played in 8 games last season before getting injured, he threw for 19. Drew Brees, he only played in 11 games, and he threw for 27 passing touchdowns. Mitchell Trubisky, he played in nearly every single game and only threw for 17. That is on the very low end of what you should expect from a starting quarterback in the league. Despite all those poor offensive numbers in the passing game, Allen Robinson, he shined. There was not one category in either volume or advanced metrics that Allen Robinson actually performed poorly in. Looking at the specifics though, he ranked 7th in snap share, 9th in route participation, 4th in targets, 8th in deep targets, and even posted the 5th best contested catch rate in the entire league. It's undeniable that he is a true bona fide number 1 wide receiver for this team. The offense, it goes through Allen Robinson. Not only is he guaranteed to get the volume, the type of targets that he's getting, they present massive upside on their own. He ranks 6th in total target distance, so his targets, they have a much higher chance at resulting in longer receptions than nearly every other wide receiver in the league. Robinson, he actually finished as the wide receiver 11 heading into the 2020 season. His ADP in ESPN is the wide receiver 13. So even if he has virtually no improvement from last season to this season, he's coming in at a major value. We do believe though that he has the upside not only to finish as a top 5 wide receiver, but there is a world out there where Allen Robinson finished as the number 1 receiver in all of fantasy football. Offensively, this team took a major step back. They ranked 29th in points scored per game, but we can't forget that they are just one season removed from being a top 10 scoring offense. In 2018, Matt Nagy won Coach of the Year. They did actually finish 10th in points scored per game. So to say that the team doesn't have it in them to have a bounce back season offensively, that's just not a true statement. For starters, despite his Coach of the Year win, Matt Nagy, he's going to have a shorter leash. If the team does not see improvement, he could very well be on the hot seat, which is going to be extra motivation to get the ball in the playmaker's hands. Even if that is his intention though, he will be limited by the play of the quarterback position, which also has a chance to have massive improvement as well. They brought in Nick Foles. While not a top 10 quarterback in the league by any means, he's definitely better than Mitchell Trubisky, but even if you don't agree to that, Mitchell Trubisky is going to head into the season as the starter, so he'll get a fair opportunity. But if it doesn't work out, if his numbers are looking anything like what he posted in 2019, Nick Foles is going to be ready to step in. Foles is definitely start worthy. I'm sure he has a chip on his shoulder since winning the Super Bowl and getting traded away from the team that invested in him, so there's a potential for fireworks as soon as he becomes the starter. What we have though is 2 opportunities for this team to have improvement in the passing game, and any improvements in this offense are going to directly benefit Allen Robinson, because Allen Robinson is targeted at the 5th highest rate of any wide receiver in the entire league. So if we can score more points on offense, A-Rob, he has that double-digit touchdown upside, and we've already established that his targets, they come much deeper than nearly every other receiver, an area he ranked 6th in 2019. So when we combine double-digit touchdown upside with the potential to finish top 10 and top 5 in receiving yardage, if everything goes his way in a perfect world, Allen Robinson very well could finish as the number 1 receiver in all of fantasy. So we're going to move from a controversial controversial player to one that will probably be looked at as low-hanging fruit, it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire of the Kansas City Chiefs. We have a long history of historical data that proves running backs being drafted in the first round, they're successful for fantasy football. Not only is Clyde Edwards-Helaire the only running back that was drafted in the first round in the 2020 NFL Draft, his landing spot could not have been better. In 2018, the Kansas City Chiefs were the #1 scoring offense in all of football. 2019, they did rank second behind Baltimore, but there are some reasons that could present risk for Baltimore to see some possible regression. Kansas City, they're a heavy favorite to lead the league in points scored per game, and when looking for a top 5 running back, you want to tie them to high scoring offenses. Clyde Edwards-Helaire also has zero competition for touches and targets behind him. Damian Williams has already opted out of this season. Prior to that news, we already had Clyde Edwards-Helaire ranked as a top running back for fantasy, but now we've even moved him higher in the rankings. We now have him ranked as the RB5 behind Alvin Kamara, ahead of Dalvin Cook, so he's cemented in that tier 1 of running backs, the types of running backs that have the most upside out of any player in the entire league. As we know, running backs score more than receivers, so when looking for players with maximum upside, this tier of running backs, these are the players with the most potential. When talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire and his skill set, you really can't find a more dynamic player. Not only is he a strong rusher on the ground, he's going to step in and immediately be one of the best pass-catching running backs in the entire league. His senior season in college, he caught 55 balls. Those 55 receptions, they resulted in 453 receiving yards. His career yards per reception throughout college was 8.6 yards per reception, which is phenomenal, and this is a player who even has a nose for the end zone, as proven by his 16 rushing touchdowns in 2019. The best part about all this is all the reports coming out of camp have been nothing short of glowing. All the information that we have points to him being exactly as advertised, and it's very likely that you could still get him at a value in drafts, because for most people, they see risk when they see rookie running backs. His ADP in ESPN is the running back 7. We have him ranked, like we said, as the RB5, so right there already presents some value if he falls to where he's being drafted at his ADP. But if you have people in your league that may be timid, may not want to put their faith in a player that we haven't seen it done before, there is a potential for Clyde Edwards-Helaire to even dip below being drafted as the 7th running back off the board. For us, with a player with as much upside as he has, we're going to try to get as many shares as we can of him, and we suggest you do the same. The final player we have is a wide receiver, and it's DJ Chark of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Between him and Kareem Hunt, these are players that you can get a little bit later that still have a ton of potential. In 2019, DJ Chark posted 73 receptions, eclipsed 1,000 receiving yards, and even had 8 receiving touchdowns. When looking at all receivers, ages 24 or under in their first 2 NFL seasons, DJ Chark is the 9th player to be able to compile those totals in NFL history. So DJ Chark, he is in elite company. His fantasy finish in 2019, it was wide receiver 17. For some reason, in ESPN drafts, his ADP is the wide receiver 27. So not only is this player a pick that brings your team a lot of potential upside, it's one that's coming in at a major value on draft day. There are a few factors that point to even improvement from 2019 to 2020. So the wide receiver 17 finish that he posted is in no way representative of his ceiling. For starters, Gardner Minshew is going to be the starting quarterback for the entire season as long as he's healthy. When we saw Gardner Minshew as the leading quarterback for this team, that's when DJ Chark posted his best games of the entire season. We also have to factor in that 2019 was his first year building actual chemistry with Gardner Minshew, so their connection heading into this upcoming season could even be better than it was before. On top of that, this defense not only regressed from 2018 to 2019, but it should be even worse heading into the 2020 season. They have been doing everything possible to ship away all of their best playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. There has even been a report that has come out recently that they have been shopping and trying to ship off Yannick Ngakoue, one of their best defensive players that they have on the roster. And if they do that, this team very well could be bottom 10 in the league in overall defense. And whenever we have a team that ranks near the bottom of the league defensively, the end result we have is a lot of garbage time production. You don't need me to tell you that garbage time leads to very positive fantasy situations. And for a player like DJ Chark, who can really just go out there and get it on deep routes, that's exactly what teams are looking for in the fourth quarter when when they're down by 2 scores. Even considering all those factors right now, that's why it blows my mind he's being drafted in ESPN at wide receiver 27. So not only is he a value, he's one that comes with some of the most upside in the entire league, where he's currently going in drafts. So for us, we recommend you get as many shares of Chark as you can, because who's to say that his ADP at this range is going to last? But guys, that's going to do it for this video. We really hope you enjoyed. If you did, how about hitting that like button? If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.